GenerationOn is a global youth service movement igniting the power of all kids and teens to make their mark on the world. Today we're talking about volunteerism and young people and volunteering as a family. With us is Daniel Horgan, the Executive Director of GenerationOn. Welcome, Daniel.
Thank you so much for having us.
I understand your group is all about kids leading kids.
It is. So we're a youth development organization that works with kids and teens between the ages of 5 and 18. And our mission is to inspire, equip, and mobilize them to make their mark on the world. We do that through programming around volunteerism, service learning, and youth leadership development.
All right. And you yourself, Daniel, Executive Director of GenerationOn, how old are you?
I'm 34.
Okay. Probably one of the few people involved over 30, right?
We work directly with kids and teens, connecting them to service experiences, yes, all around the country. And in many cases, those kids are leading service projects within their schools or within their communities. What's amazing is, you meet some of these kids who are 12 years old who were so compelled by a particular social issue, whether it's homelessness or hunger or literacy and the lack of books in some homes, that they go out and they start their own nonprofit organizations and mobilize their friends, their peers in schools, and even get adults in their community connected to their service projects. And so they themselves are totally leading the way.
Wow, yeah, and kids come up with great ideas, and they know how to motivate their peers.
Absolutely, definitely.
Yeah. Give us some history of the group, Dan.
Sure. So GenerationOn is the youth service division of Points of Light. And so Points of Light is the world's largest volunteer organization in the world, mobilizing people of all ages to give back to their communities in a variety of ways. So GenerationOn came about 5 years ago through the merger of a number of different smaller organizations. And ever since then, we've been working in partnership with several national brands such as Hasbro and Disney, ConAgra Foods, to really inspire, equip, and mobilize kids to make their mark. And again, work in schools, work in nonprofit organizations such as after-school programs to work directly with kids.
How far-reaching is this movement? It really is global, worldwide?
Yep, so we have close to 1,000 clubs in schools, ranging in elementary, middle, and high schools, which engage on an average basis anywhere from 20 to 30 students per club. And those clubs are mobilizing students around service projects, again, within their school or within their community. And then we also run several youth service campaigns and days of service. One particular day of service is our Family Volunteer Day, which just happened this past Saturday, November 22nd. And in that case, we mobilize families. In total, hundreds of thousands of kids are engaged every year because of GenerationOn programming.
That's really something. And we are talking now to a nationwide audience, and most major cities are covered by the sound of our radio station. I would imagine most major cities have an activity of GenerationOn in their community.
Right. So we work in close partnership under the Points of Light umbrella with what's called the Hands-On Network. And essentially, Hands-On Network are volunteer centers. We have 250 of them all across the United States, covering 86% of the U.S. population.
Okay.
And those volunteer centers are in suburban, urban, and rural areas, making sure that people who have an interest in connecting to their community through volunteerism have a network to connect to and find those opportunities.
All right. I want to talk about some of the projects going on, Dan. What are some of the more unusual projects?
Well, for Family Volunteer Day last Saturday, we worked in partnership with Disney, who is our exclusive presenting sponsor for the initiative. We had a huge project at Downtown Disney out in L.A., which we engaged both park guests as well as employees and their families from Disney in packing snack packs that went and were distributed through local food banks in the L.A. area.
Oh, wow.
So many kids participating in after-school programs so often those programs don't have the resources to provide food and refreshments. And so these snack packs are a welcome addition to their programs. That's one example. We also, in lots of other cities, so we had signature projects happening in places like Houston, Raleigh, North Carolina, Chicago, San Francisco. And in those cases, everything from working on creating cards that were distributed to kids in children's hospitals to creating care packages that would go to the elderly that might be homebound,
Wow.
to even one of our most innovative projects in Chicago, where we worked with a number of different families with kids of all different ages, recycling plastic bags that were woven into mats that were distributed to homeless outreach organizations in the Chicago area.
Wow, what a great project. So you must meet and interact with kids a lot yourself, Dan?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All over the country.
What's on their mind? What are some of the issues they're really concerned about? You must kind of have your finger on the pulse of their concerns and their hearts.
Yep. Actually, as a result of we just did a recent survey with kids that are involved in our programs. The younger kids, particularly elementary school aged, identified the three top areas that they had a passion for were hunger issues, homelessness, and peace and kindness in their community, so which oftentimes includes, particularly in elementary schools, anti-bullying campaigns.
Yeah.
And the older kids, surprisingly, had very similar responses. Hunger and homelessness were their top two, and their third area of concern was literacy, particularly looking at the lack of books and resources in many kids' homes.
What comments have you got about this generation and their concern about others and global issues outside of themselves? Because a lot of times we think of these kids as just, having their fingers on their smartphones or being in front of a, video game. Do you think otherwise?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think, as a executive director of generationOn, one of the comments I often hear when I'm out and about is, that young people are our future and we should invest in that future. And, I typically respond to people who say that and saying, so many young people today, as young as 5 and even younger, are leading initiatives within their communities and are in many ways even more active than many adults are when it comes to civic participation. An example is, a 5-year-old that I met out in Illinois. His name was Kellen. And Kellen, with his parents, was in a local park and recognized that there were a lot of homeless families, including kids, that were living in that park.
Wow.
And after talking with his parents, said, well, what can we do about this? And his parents and him brainstormed ideas. And Kellen, again, 5 years old, came up with the idea of doing a sock drive within his school and collected socks that were then distributed to families that were living in the local shelters within his own community.
Wow, that's
Perfect
amazing.
Example of the young mind who sees a challenge or sees an issue, innovatively comes up with a solution and sees that solution from start to finish.
Yeah.
Just, that's a huge example of just how this young generation is connected to their community and really inspired to give back in a meaningful way.
Yeah, as you say, oftentimes the younger ones take the lead and inspire us older people to do our share, to do our part. But what can you do as a mom or dad? What can you do at home to foster the spirit of volunteerism and compassion in your child? I imagine a lot of moms did that on this past Saturday's Family Volunteer Day.
Absolutely. It's a great question, and I would start by saying that, we often read stories or see stories of families that are doing remarkable things in their community when it comes to volunteerism. But I want to make sure people realize that when you're at home, a volunteer experience can start right at your kitchen table. You have the opportunity to, put out a jar in which everybody in the family is participating in putting their loose change, and then say at the end of the month around a dinner table, while you're sharing a meal together, you can talk about where you want to donate that money that you've now raised as a family, and then make that contribution to a local nonprofit that you and your family might want to volunteer with as well. We partnered with a national parenting expert, Dr. Michelle Borba, who's often a contributor on the Today Show.
Yes.
One of the things that she says that I love is, parents have this unique opportunity to really foster an attitude of gratitude in their kids. And I think that, again, with volunteerism, by just having that reflective conversation at night, maybe after you read your kids a story before they go to bed, asking them, what are they thankful for that happened to them today? Because volunteerism can be as simple as smiling at somebody that might be having a bad day, and as complex as organizing, a community-wide drive for food goods or
Yeah, great idea. It doesn't take much. It can be very simple. Giving thanks. That's what we're doing this time of year. Let me ask you, do you find that a lot of people come out of the woodwork this time of year to give back, to help another, but then there's a kind of a dearth of help during the other times of the year?
Absolutely. I mean, definitely around the holiday season. That's particularly why the Saturday before Thanksgiving we typically host our Family Volunteer Day, is to really kick off the season of giving, engaging families in the spirit of volunteerism when we come together as families of all different types and really reflect on all that we have to be thankful for. It's a great opportunity to really teach kids, again, of all ages, the value of volunteerism. I think one goal that we have is making sure that that spirit of giving, that spirit of volunteerism, is something that families would continue to do year-round. And again, there's lots of great ways that you can do that. In fact, if you check out our website, generationOn.org/parent, you can check out a number of different project ideas. We have actual project kits that walk you through step-by-step, making it as easy as 1, 2, 3 for a mom or a dad or a guardian with kids to sit down at a table and figure out what they want to do together with all the instructions, all the tips on how to make it happen.
All right. Once again, that is Executive Director of generationOn. That's Daniel Horgan. Daniel, once again, how do we get in touch?
Sure. Definitely check out our website at www.generationon.org. And if you're a parent, all you have to do is add /parent and to check out all of our family volunteer resources that are available to get you started today.
All right. And I suppose you can go to that website also to find if there's any service projects going on around where you live?
Absolutely. Okay. So there's an opportunity to search for volunteer opportunities by zip code.
Good.
As well as to read really inspiring stories of what families all around the world are doing when it comes to volunteerism.
All right. Daniel Horgan, appreciate your time, Dan. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And remember, the opinions and views expressed on Focus on Issues are not necessarily those of this station or management. And you can learn more about Family Radio's commitment to serving the public by taking a look at our public file. It's now available online by hitting the Public Information tab at familyradio.org or calling 1-800-543-1495. Hold on and stay with us. We've got more straight ahead.